When Aston Martin first rolled up its sleeves and dove into Formula One, it wasn't just for the love of racing. It was business. Big business. Racing is brutal, expensive, and unpredictable, but if it clicks, it turns your brand into gold. That was the dream. But like many before them, Aston Martin quickly found out that F1 doesn't play fair, especially when your core company is already bleeding money. Now here's where things get real. The car maker, Aston Martin Lagonda, hasn't had the smoothest ride lately. Their cars are gorgeous, no doubt, but sales haven't exactly been flying off the lot. In the past year alone, the company lost about half its stock value, and in just one quarter, they took a 34% hit. That's not just a bump, it's a full-blown financial pothole. Demand has been low, tariffs have added pressure, and overall, the economics of selling ultra-luxury cars in this market just isn't cutting it. So what do you do when you're running low on gas, but still sitting on one hell of a valuable asset? You sell, or at least part of it. Aston Martin just sold a 4.6% minority stake in their F1 team, worth around $146 million, 0 cents. But here's the twist, they didn't sell it to disappear. This move isn't about exiting the sport, it's about survival and strategy. The team will still race under the Aston Martin name. You might be wondering, who's really behind this Formula One team? The real puppet master is Lawrence Stroll, the Canadian billionaire. He didn't just throw money at the team for fun. When he bought Force India back in 2018 and turned it into Racing Points and later into Aston Martin, he was playing chess, not checkers. That original $117 million, 0 cents investment, it's now worth over $3 billion, $200 million, 0 cents. That's a jaw-dropping 2,735% return in just 7 years. You don't walk away from that, so why sell any stake at all? Because the car maker, separate from the F1 team, is in trouble, and Stroll's group, which owns a much bigger chunk, about 33%, isn't going anywhere. They're just letting the manufacturer cash in on a small piece while holding on to the reins. The brand stays in the sport, Stroll stays in control, and the company gets the lifeline it needs. Here's the part people often miss. The Formula One team is no longer just a marketing arm for Aston Martin cars, it's a high-growth asset of its own. Back in 2023, the team had already made a deal with Arctos Partners for $1,300 million, 0 cents, and now with the latest stake sale valuing the team at $3,200 million, 0 cents, this isn't just racing, it's smart investing. The brand equity alone, powered by global visibility and diehard fans, makes the F1 team more valuable than the company's car division at this point. Lawrence Stroll gets this. That's why he's been quietly building an empire behind the scenes. We're talking state-of-the-art facilities in Silverstone, partnerships with powerhouses like Honda, and even bringing in the legendary Adrian Newey. These are not the moves of a man giving up. They're the moves of a man preparing for domination, especially with the 2026 regulation changes coming in hot. But there's one wild card in all of this. Lance Stroll, Lawrence's son. And not everyone's convinced he's the guy to lead the team into a new era. That seat, despite all the investments around it, is still under scrutiny. Lawrence Stroll's vision for the team is crystal clear: win championships and elevate Aston Martin's legacy on and off the track. But vision alone doesn't win races. It takes talent, leadership, and timing. That's why the people he's pulled into the project matter more than ever. Adrian Newey, joining as a technical partner, sent shockwaves across the paddock. The man is practically F1 royalty with decades of title-winning experience under his belt. You don't land a guy like that unless you're dead serious about shaking up the grid. On top of that, the deal with Honda is a massive game changer. From 2026, Aston Martin will become a works team with exclusive engine support from a manufacturer that just helped Red Bull dominate the championship. That's a huge upgrade. No more borrowing engines from competitors or hoping for scraps. This gives them full control over power unit development and integration, something only top-tier teams like Mercedes and Ferrari have truly mastered. And then there's the infrastructure. Silverstone isn't just a name in the sport, it's home to some of F1's most iconic moments. Now it's also the base of a modern racing fortress being built by Stroll. Wind tunnels, simulators, data centers, the kind of high-end setup you'd expect from a championship contender. And so, billions have been pumped into these facilities, all with one goal: 2026. That year isn't just another season, it's a reset button. The regulations are changing dramatically, and whoever nails them early could enjoy a multi-year run at the top, just like Mercedes did in 2014, or Red Bull recently. But technical firepower alone isn't enough. You need a driver lineup that can actually deliver under pressure. And here's where things start to get complicated. Fernando Alonso is still a beast behind the wheel. Even in his 40S, he's putting in drives that would humble guys half his age. His experience, feedback, and relentless hunger for success make him one of the most valuable assets the team has. He's not here to cruise around the midfield, he wants to fight for wins. He believes in the project and has made it clear that 2026 is the year he's aiming for. The real question mark is Lance Stroll. No one can deny that he's had his moments. Pole positions, podiums, even a few standout performances in the rain. But moments don't build legacies. The sport demands consistency, and that's where Lance has struggled. Critics say he's too comfortable, shielded by his father's ownership, and lacks the hunger that drives champions. And let's be honest, perception matters. Sponsors, fans, even internal team morale get affected when people believe a seat is being held by privilege rather than performance. Behind the scenes, other names are quietly waiting. Felipe Drugovich is the obvious one. Young, fast, and hungry, he's been shadowing the team, learning every detail, ready to jump in if given the chance. There's also Yuki Tsunoda, whose relationship with Honda could make him a surprise contender for a seat. He's fiery, unpredictable, but undeniably talented. If Honda wants a driver to represent their return to F1 in green, Yuki's name could be pushed to the front. The truth is, Lawrence is facing a decision that could define the entire project. If he sticks with his son and things go south, no amount of Newi magic or Honda horsepower will fix that. But if he makes the ruthless call, swaps in a hungrier, faster driver, and lets Lance step aside, suddenly, Aston Martin becomes a very serious threat to the top three. The stage is set. Fernando Alonso's optimism for 2026 isn't based on blind faith. It's rooted in what's already happening behind closed doors. While other teams are still tweaking their current cars, Aston Martin's focus has shifted almost entirely toward the future. According to internal whispers, nearly 80% of the team's engineering resources have already been moved over to the 2026 project. The rest of the grid might be trying to squeeze performance out of outdated packages, but Aston Martin is planning a coup while everyone else is distracted. Adrian Newey, despite only joining recently, has made a quiet but powerful impact. He's reportedly not even concerned with this season's development curve. When he finally did intervene midway through the year, the upgrades he suggested gave the car an instant boost. It was subtle but undeniable. That's what you get when a generational genius enters the room. Small changes that make a big difference. His real mission, though, is still under wraps. The 2026 car is being designed with his fingerprints all over it, and if history tells us anything, when Newi gets a clean slate under new regulations, he tends to break the sport. Honda, on the other hand, is not here to play catch-up. They've tasted championship glory with Red Bull, and now they want to replicate that magic with a team that lets them run the show. No middlemen, no compromises, just raw collaboration. Their engines, paired with Newi's design genius, could be the foundation of something truly dangerous, especially with Aston Martin now having full access to build the car and power unit as one seamless machine. That synergy is what Mercedes used to dominate for years. Still, there's a looming cloud above all of this: time. Alonzo, while performing at an elite level, is not going to be around forever. He's defied expectations season after season, but even legends have a clock ticking in the background. If Aston Martin nails the 2026 car, he could very well grab one last shot at glory, but if the regulations get delayed or the car misses its mark, they may have wasted their best window with him behind the wheel. That's why Lawrence Stroll's decisions in the next 12 months are so important. He's not just managing a race team, he's shaping its legacy. He's already proven he can play the long game, from buying Force India in financial chaos to turning it into a multi-billion-dollar brand. He's flipped the narrative more than once. But now, the choices are sharper. Keep Lance in the seat and hope he evolves into a true contender, or swap him out and chase greatness with a lineup that has no emotional strings attached. If Stroll makes the bold move, Aston Martin could enter 2026 with a powerhouse engine partner, the best aerodynamicist in the sport, a modern headquarters, and a ruthless win-at-all-costs driver pairing. That's a terrifying combination for the rest of the grid, especially if Ferrari keeps tripping over their own strategy calls and Mercedes fails to adapt to the new era like they did post-2021. The team's valuation has already skyrocketed 246% in just 2 years. Investors see the vision, the fan base is growing. All that's left is results, championships, and if things fall into place, even just a little, Aston Martin might go from being the underdog with deep pockets to the main character of Formula One's next era. This isn't just about racing anymore, it's about legacy, business, ego, and timing. 2026 might not just be a new chapter for Aston Martin, it could be the beginning of an empire. And if that happens, we'll all look back at this sale not as a desperate move, but as the smartest one they ever made.